Marquisador, not Mark Isidore. Welcome to my Abyss Runecrafting guide. Before I get started, I would like to leave a little disclaimer. A lot of other people have already made a guide on this, and you've probably already seen their videos. So at the risk of wasting your time, you may want to click away. I just felt like making this video because I've been recently crafting in the Abyss, and it's fun, and I've learned a few things that I felt like sharing. It's not necessarily guaranteed to be original content, but it's still fun to make, so that's why I'm doing it. So let's get started. To begin with, I should note that this guide is going to take into consideration that you'll be using the Demonic Skull, which is worth 550k. You can buy it from the Zamorak Mage in Varrock. Do not buy it from him out in the wilderness. I made that mistake and got attacked by skeletons for like 3 minutes before I was able to actually open his shop and buy it before getting interrupted. Just go to him. I think he's in southeast Varrock. I will put a location up on the screen. Yeah, you can buy it there. Just do that. Quick note, if you are someone who does not want to risk the Demonic Skull and is just going to go for the 2.5 times XP instead of the 3.5, some of the tips in this guide will still be relevant to you, but the gearing section will be completely irrelevant. So instead of the gear, I suggest I would just say nothing is required other than a glory, obviously, for teleport reasons. Unless you have a very low defense, then you're going to want to wear some sort of melee gear to protect you from the monsters in the Abyss. Again, if you can survive the monsters in the Abyss without any gear, then you don't need to wear anything other than a glory. I would recommend adamant or mithril if you really do need armor to protect you. Other than that, a glory is the only thing you're going to need. But some of the other tips, like I said, will be relevant. It's up to you whether or not you want to stick around. For those of you who can't be asked to watch this entire video, I will leave an annotation on the screen as well as a link in the description to a later part in the video where I will essentially summarize everything I said. It's pretty much a too long didn't watch, just out of compassion. I don't know, because I'm nice. So yeah, it's there for you right now on the screen. Or if you're on mobile, it's in the description. Click it. So first things first, we have gear. My recommendation is full royal d'hide or the highest dragon hide armor you can wear. So this consists of a coif, body, chaps, and vambraces. The coif is now tradable and craftable by players and is not degradable after the recent Fist of Guthix update, so you can in fact wear those and they are very cheap and just add magic defense. Of course, you're going to need a glory amulet for teleporting to Edgeville to bank. Boots of Lightness because they're free and they reduce your weight by a bit. I take an Ava's Accumulator because it's cheap. You can take an Attractor or Alerter depending on if you can use the worse or better version. Just the best version of the backpack you can get. I use an Elder Shield Bow and Dragon Arrows. You only need 1 to 3. I will go into more detail why I'm wielding those. And of course the Demonic Skull because we want to get the best XP possible. I forgot to mention the Ring of Life. This is a very controversial thing to bring because most people are going to say, well, if you're getting teleport blocked, the Ring of Life is rendered useless. I don't know, I just take it generally because it's super cheap, and if somebody forgets to TB you, it could save you if they end up doing high damage, because a PKer can be killing the skeletons to get their adrenaline and then stall their adrenaline, just keep killing skeletons and have full adrenaline, and they could ultimate you as soon as they see you. So if they don't successfully teleblock you, it could save your life. So it's a very low risk. So I throw it in there just because. To break down this gear choice, the main reason is for high magic defense and low risk. It's roughly 45k for all of this gear that you'll be risking, and when you're comparing it to the 550k risk of the Demonic Skull alone, it's a pretty small price. The main reason I go for magic defense is because magic PKers are the main guys you're going to be dealing with, which even then they're pretty rare, but you might as well prepare yourself just in case. The reason it's probably going to be a mage PKer is because teleport block, and teleport block is based off magic, scaling, blah blah blah. So basically they're going to be attacking with magic too if they're doing it right at the very least. And this will help you decrease your chance of getting A, teleport blocked, and B, taking damage to the point where you die from their normal attacks. Moving on, we have the inventory and preset setup. So you're going to want the small, medium, large, giant, and massive pouches if you can get all of them. Massive pouches are really only going to be on the table if you have spare points from RuneSpan to spend on them. If not, don't worry about it. It'll just increase your XP and profit per hour. And of course, small, medium, large, and giant pouches are all dependent on what your level of runecrafting is, which determines what you can use. And of course, the rest of your inventory is going to be full of pure essence. For the preset, you're going to want to include all the worn gear you have. You're also going to want to include a Beast of Burden familiar, which will be your runecrafting familiar, the highest you can use. In this case, I'll be using the highest possible, which is the Abyssal Titan. If you can't use a familiar for runecrafting, do not worry about it. However, even if you're using the very lowest level one, it's still highly recommended as it just carries more essence at literally no extra time for banking. And it's just, there's really nothing bad about it. You're also going to want to have this preset set to one of your quick presets, so either 1 or 2, it's totally up to you. Whichever one you choose is going to bind to that key, so if you select 1, then pressing 1 on your keyboard will select that preset, and vice versa, same goes for 2. This is just to make it faster to bank. You can click it, but it's highly recommended that you just use it on your keyboard because it's much quicker to press 2 or 1 than it is to reach your mouse over to the spot and then click it. An important note is that presets do not update as glory amulets lose charges, or any amulets or jewelry for that matter. And the easy way around this is once you run out of glory amulet at 4 charges, you will take the preset, equip all of the stuff you normally would, and you'll be missing your amulet. Then you'll simply go back to your bank, right click your glory amulet 3 from your bank to wear it, then go into the preset options and override the save so that it remembers it's for the 3 charge. A really good way I found to manage this is to match the amount of glories you have to the amount of minutes your familiar will last. The reason for this is you do roughly 1 trip per minute. So say the Abyssal Titan lasts 42 minutes, if I have 42 glories, I'm going to use roughly 42 glories in the time my familiar lasts, and at that point I'm going to have to resummon a new familiar anyway, so it breaks it down easier to know that, oh, I already have to stop to get a new familiar pouch out and summon that. I can do the preset change before I do that so I don't waste any time on my new familiar. I just find it to be the easiest way to handle it and realize when you need to reset your preset to update for the new charge of your glory amulet. Also, while we're on the topic of summoning familiars, the way I handle resummoning a pouch is to pay attention to the timer. So when the duration of my familiar is like less than 5 or 10 minutes, I just make one quick detour on one of my trips to the mini obelisk in Edgeville and recharge my summoning points then, so that I don't have to do it when I'm at the bank and I'm like, oh, I'm about to resummon my pouch and I don't have enough summoning points, or then I don't have to have a summoning potion in my bank to drink and then do it that way. I just find it to be easier. You don't have to use any potions, and it's a very, very small detour once per, roughly 40 minutes each time if you're using a Titan. And even the shortest duration of the 3 familiars is still, I think it's almost 30 minutes, so it's not a big inconvenience at all. For your action bar, you're going to want to include the small, medium, and large pouches on 3 easy-to-reach keybinds. This is simply for when you're banking. It makes it much faster to fill them up with essence, and I will get more into that process in a minute. But first, let's go over the rest of the action bar. You're also going to want to have Binding Shot with Revolution active, as well as the queuing enabled. This is simply because if you get attacked, you can attack your attacker back and you're already skulled, so it doesn't matter. And Binding Shot has a chance to stun the target for 1.2 seconds, as well as bind them for up to 10 seconds. And the truth of the matter is most PKs are not going to be expecting a runecrafter to attack back, and the odds of this hitting are fairly low, but this can actually save you, and this is pretty much the reason for the Elder Shield Bow and the Dragon Arrows. You don't have to use Dragon Arrows, but you only need literally 1 arrow because it's a 30-second cooldown on Binding Shot, so you're only going to be able to use it once in an encounter. But this just it adds a little bit of survivability for a really small cost. In addition to that, a shield bow just adds more armor, and you can't really have enough armor, it just helps. You'll also want the abilities Surge, Anticipation, and Freedom on easy to reach keybinds. The reason for Surge is because it just speeds up your trips. You move forward much faster than you can run each trip, and it just saves you time. Anticipation is great to use right after Surge because that allows you to prevent getting stunned initially, and then Freedom, essentially if you get stunned again after your Anticipation would be broken by a PKer, Freedom breaks another stun/snare, and that lasts for 6 full seconds. So that's longer than it takes to even run back to the Wilderness Wall from the mage. So Freedom alone will save you, but Anticipation is just really easy to use, and it's just a safe thing to have. Alright, so now I'm going to do a live commentary run to kind of break down everything that I explained and show you how it works in action. So first things first, make sure you have your familiar summoned, then open your bank and hit your preset key. This will give you all your gear and everything in your inventory. Then you're going to want to hit your 3 keybinds for your 3 smallest pouches, which will fill them up. open your bank again, and right click fill the massive and giant pouches if you have them, after which hit your preset key once more to give you the rest of your essence, and start running towards the wilderness wall. When you get to the wall, while you're in midair jumping it, you're going to want to hit surge so it activates immediately with queuing, like that. And at this point, you can see the map has to load if you go a little bit farther forward. So what I recommend doing right after your surge is hitting your anticipation keybind. This is just in case there's a PK or you can't see beyond that wall, the fog. And also the loading please wait thing pops up, and then that makes your game a little slower. So it's just basically preparing just in case. It's a much safer way of doing this, and I highly recommend hitting anticipation after a surge every time. And with queuing, it's really easy to do. So in a normal run through there, you'll all do that fluidly, and it just takes practice. It's really not that hard to get the hang of. So I'll hit my anticipation and run, and you'll see the map load here. So you see that there could have been a PKer up there, and then you're just going to click on the Mage's Amarak to teleport. He will send you into the Abyss. And another thing to note, you will get attacked by all the Abyss creatures. Most people know this, just wanted to point that out. Again, if you have a decent defense level, or if you just have the armor on, you'll be fine. Also, you will either get a mining or agility obstacle to overcome in order to get into the inner ring. So as long as you have a tool belt with a mining pick, you'll be fine, and agility, obviously don't need a tool for that. So then you want to click the nearest one to you, and also take note of the portal you're going to for the runes. You want to go in that direction when you're going to the mining node or the agility node. So I'm going for blood, so I went to the left rock instead of the right one because the blood portal is right here. Or rift, sorry. And then you go through your rift, take you straight to the altar, and you hit craft right on the altar. And the cool thing is all of your runes, including the ones in your familiars inventory, all get crafted in one straight go. You used to have to empty your pouches, no longer is that a thing. And then you simply want to right click and teleport to Edgeville on your glory amulet. That's why I would recommend having the character screen open like this. It makes it way easier to teleport back. You can also do a hotbar of it, but if I press R here, it's going to bring up my menu and then I have to press another button. It's just faster to right click it and then left click. Also, with blood runes, since this is the best XP in game, one trick I've noticed is if you're completely zoomed out, your camera is facing east, and you have your camera fully up, so instead of like this, it's all the way straight up, looking down at your character. Right to the right of the XP drop you get is where your cursor is going to need to be in order to click the bank through the roof. You can just turn off roofs to make this easier so you can see the bank counter. I like roofs on, so it's just a note for anyone that wants to have roofs on. So my cursor is roughly right here. See how it says bank counter? Or it said bank counter, yeah. It's easier when the XP drop is still up, which it will be when you're doing this at full speed. And it's just an easier way to bank. So then you go back to the bank, and you just hit 2 again, or 1, whichever preset button you have, and you go through the same process. I'm just gonna do one more run, but this time I'm gonna go at my normal speed. I may make a couple mistakes here and there, but you'll see that the difference between the broken down run and when you're actually doing it at full capacity. So I bank, hit my preset, hit all 3 keybinds, reopen it, right click fill, hit my button again to get the rest of my essence and start running. I normally look for the wall early to right click it and click it, wait for the hop animation, hit my surge, hit my anticipation right after that. It will immediately queue it, as you can see. These are both, it's up there right now. Load it in, hit the teleport on the mage, and look for where I'm at in the abyss. Gonna want to run left because that's closer to the blood rift, and enter this agility crevice, or gap as it's actually called. Run around to the blood rift, and I kind of peek around. This is why you want your camera max zoomed, so you can kind of peek it and then click it before your character stops running for faster speed. Hit the Runecrafting altar and Edgeville teleport. And also, one thing to note is when that XP drop gets right below, well, I didn't expect, oh, it's because my familiar killed something. But when that XP drop gets right below the icon, that's when you can teleport with your glory. If you do it before that, the animation won't play and you won't actually teleport. So that's when you know, right when the XP drop text starts to fade is when you can actually click teleport. And then you're just going on a, re-equip your preset and keep going. So for the XP and profit, I'm going to take into account that A, you're using the Demonic Skull, which is a 3.5 times modifier on the XP rate, and also that you have an Abyssal Titan and all the pouches, including Massive. I'm going to do a section for without Massive, but also including everything I previously mentioned. So essentially showcasing the max amount of XP and money you can make. I will only be doing blood and nature because A, blood is the best XP in game, and nature is really the only rune you should be making other than blood, and that would be if you were 91 runecrafting or higher and just wanted more money by sacrificing a bit of XP. For blood runes with all pouches, and the Titan of course, you will get roughly 200,000 experience per hour and 2.2 million gold per hour net. That isn't gross, that's including the cost of pure essence and pouches, so it's really good. Great XP, really good money actually. So yeah, it's pretty darn good. For nature runes with all pouches, you'll be getting 170k XP an hour and 3 million GP per hour. So that's a really good GP per hour. The XP is obviously a little bit less than Blood's, but I mean, it's up to you whether or not you want to sacrifice the XP to make more money. Regardless, it's still faster XP than RuneSpan, which is roughly, I think, at best, a little over 100k XP an hour with no profit at all, obviously. But the trade-off there is it's AFK. Totally preference, but yeah, that's definitely, nature runes can make a pretty good amount of profit. Now, blood runes without a massive pouch are gonna have a pretty big hit. Both of the runes do actually, so you're only going to get 160k XP an hour versus the 200k, and you're going to get 1.8 mil GP an hour. So it's, you know, 40k less an hour out of 200k total. That's a pretty big percentage, and honestly, I'm just showcasing this to just really show how much the massive pouch can improve your XP and GP per hour doing this method. Yes, you need RuneSpan points. Yes, it's not forever, and it's something that you can't always have unless you go out of your way to get, but if you already have the points, it's amazing. It just adds that much over an hour because it's 18 extra essence per trip, and if you're, think about it, you're making 60 trips an hour, that's a lot. That 18 adds up. It's seriously a huge improvement. So for nature runes with no massive pouch, you're only going to be getting 140k XP an hour and 2.45 mil an hour, or 2450k GP an hour. So again, less XP than Blood's, obviously, still more money versus the, you know, the 170k you would get with a massive pouch. That's again 30k less XP an hour. So the massive pouch makes a big difference. But still, these are really good XP rates even without the massive pouch, because like I said, RuneSpan is not nearly as fast XP an hour, but yes, it is AFK. So again, when it comes down to this, you're gonna have to break down, do you want the fastest XP or do you want to make more money? It's totally preference. Nature runes are by far still not a bad option if you have 91 to get the extra profit. You won't get extra XP, but the profit definitely makes them a definite option in comparing them to Bloods. Also, if you're wondering about like the XP rates without the skull, it's 2.5 times versus 3.5 times, so you can just do a little bit of math to figure that out based on these XP rates. Still, those XP rates are still a little bit better than RuneSpan, but I don't know. For me, honestly, it's not better enough to make me want to, you know, actually focus and play the game if I could just AFK for a little bit less. But when I'm getting this much with the skull and the massive pouch, it makes it a lot worth it, especially with the money on top of it. So a couple tips and tricks to just help speed up your runs is very simple, but you want to know where your rift is. So whatever rune you're doing, you know, nature, blood, death, whatever, it's your choice. Blood is the highest XP, nature is the most money, but basically you want to memorize where at in regards to the abyss that rift is and in relation to the compass. This is simply so that you can determine, you know, get your bearings as soon as because you get randomly teleported into the abyss. You can spawn in any spot of the abyss. So knowing where the location of your rift is going to help you run towards that direction faster. You're going to look at your mini-map, figure out where you're at in the abyss, and then use that information to run towards the direction of your rift, and again, towards the closest obstacle you have to go through to get into the inner circle, which is also, again, in the direction of your rift. Just doing that is going to speed it up. You'll get the hang of it, and it's just easier to know where your rift is to begin with. It just basically means you'll have faster runs. Also, this isn't really like a tip or anything, it's just something I should mention. The giant pouch is the only pouch that will degrade. It degrades after 12 uses, so essentially after filling it 12 times, it will degrade and hold less essences, roughly 3 less, so 9 instead of 12. You're just going to want to go to the mage in the middle of the abyss, right click and repair, and then just hold down the space bar to go through all the dialogue, and he will automatically repair it. If you're going to try to be more efficient, you can do this preemptively. So essentially you'd have to count your trips. So at your like 11th trip, you would want to repair it. I believe you can do that. I could be wrong, but if you can do that, it's easier. It saves you time technically, but counting your trips gets, I don't know, tedious to me. I just do it when it degrades, because when it does degrade and you equip your preset, it will not equip the giant pouch because it's set to equip the repaired, not the degraded giant pouch. So it's a very good indicator of when your pouch is degraded, and you won't forget. If you end up getting PK'd and lose your pouches, the way you're going to reobtain them is fairly simple. The small pouch, you can get a free one from the Dark Mage within the middle of the Abyss. The medium pouch, you're going to have to kill Abyss creatures until they drop it. It's a pretty common drop, and if you take in, like, say, red Chinchampas, or you have access to Ice Blitz or Barrage, I believe, the AoE spells essentially, you can use either of those methods to kill, like, a 3x3 square of Abyss creatures super fast. You can also get a halberd, or even just a two-handed melee weapon, and use the cleave and the hurricane and quake abilities to hit multiple targets at once to kill them much faster. Actually, a lot of people are training there now because the XP rate's so good, and it's AFK for 10 minutes because the monsters are aggressive. But either way, you're going to be able to get your medium pouch back really quick. And the large and giant pouches can be bought from Wizard Korvac in the Runecrafting guild for a total of 75k. The large pouch is 25k, and the giant pouch is 50k. The massive pouch, again, is a RuneSpan thing. You have to have 1,000 points per pouch, and you can buy them from Wizard Phoenix at the top of the Wizard Tower south of Draenor. One more thing, the massive pouch lasts for 42 uses, so 42 times you fill it. So a cool thing about that is the Abyssal Titan Familiar lasts 42 minutes, so essentially a massive pouch is going to last you one Abyssal Familiar. It's pretty great, but yeah, again, if you don't have the points for it, don't worry about it. Most people will, because most people RuneSpan until this update came out, because this gives better XP rates than you would get in RuneSpan. If you have the Mauritania legs 2 or higher, you should definitely wear those in place of chaps, because they will give you a 10% chance of a second blood rune per essence each time when you're crafting. So it's not going to give you extra XP, but it will give you more profit, and you will sacrifice a bit of defense, but honestly, I think it's worth it. If you have any of the ethereal outfits, then I would strongly suggest wearing those, because they will give you the bonuses of the Master Runecrafting robes if you have that, which is a 4% increase to XP, and you don't lose them on death. Like, you can reclaim them from Diango and Draenor. Most people won't have this, so I didn't really touch on it too much. I don't have it. It's just one of those treasure hunter things, but it does have some good bonuses, such as giving you the ability to carry more essence. You can store some in that and such, but you're going to sacrifice defense from that as well. So if you have it, use it. If not, like most people won't have it, then don't worry about it. To summarize, the gear you're going to want is the best dragon hide you can wear, including the coif, which is now tradable and non-degradable. Of course, a Glory of Amulet that is charged, boots of lightness, the best of Ava's backpacks you can wear, an Elder Shield Bow, a couple of dragon arrows, and the demonic skull, of course, for the 3.5 times XP boost. Also throw in a ring of life just in case. For your inventory and preset, you're going to want all of the pouches you can use, full pure essence in your inventory, of course. In your preset, include all the Warren gear you have. Also include the BOB Familiar, so it will automatically fill that with essence. You're going to want to set that preset to 1 or 2 for the quick slots, so you can easily press 1 or 2 on your keyboard to equip it. And when your glory reaches a lower charge rate, so say you have 10 glories at 4 and they reach 3, you're going to want to go into your preset and change it to match the 3, so then you can continue doing that without having to manually equip a glory amulet every single time you set the preset. Ideally, you want to have several glories, so you don't have to do this very often. The smartest way I've found to do it is simply do the change on your preset to update for the lower charged glories when you need to resummon a familiar. This makes it more streamlined, and you're doing it at the same time as your familiar, so it all kind of goes together better and it's easier to remember. Also, make a quick detour to the mini obelisk in Edgeville when your familiar is about to run out, so you don't have to worry about summoning points when you need to resummon your familiar. Your action bar should include the small, medium, and large pouches on easy keybinds, so you can fill them quickly. You will also want Binding Shot on with Revolution active. You also want to have queuing enabled. The reason you want Binding Shot is because if you see a PKer, you can shoot them and have a chance at stunning and also snaring them, which will catch them off guard and also help you escape. You'll also want Surge, Anticipation, and Freedom on easy to reach keybinds. Surge is used every run after you hop the wilderness wall to increase your speed, followed by Anticipation Anticipation, again, to anticipate a PKer, and Freedom is your final act of defense if you get stunned or snared after Anticipation wears off to help you escape. A quick outline of the banking process is as follows. Open the bank, activate your preset, press all 3 keybinds for your pouches, bank again, right-click the giant and massive pouches if you have them, and fill them. Press your preset again, run to the wilderness wall, hop the wall. Whilst hopping, you'll want to activate Surge, followed by Anticipation immediately after, and then proceed to the Zamorak Mage to teleport into the Abyss. So that pretty much concludes this in-depth Abyss runecrafting guide. I know this video dragged on for quite a while, but it just kind of went that way. I outlined everything I wanted to talk about, and it kind of just ended up taking this long to explain it all. I would much rather take this much time to go in depth than skip over a lot of stuff that, hey, if even one person finds all the things I said useful or even parts of it useful, then I'm happy. And either way, this was more just something I felt like doing just for fun, just because I wanted to more than anything. And anyone else who benefits from it that's just a bonus right there. I did include the Too Long Didn't Watch or summary part to help, aid people that just want to get the information and get out. It's pretty quick, cut and dry. Should help most people. I mean, obviously, if you want the details, you're going to watch everything. But again, like I said, there's lots of other videos on the same method out there. This was just my take on it, which, again, isn't completely unique. But it was fun to make. It's a lot of work to make a video like this, and if anything, it gives me more respect for other guide makers out there. But yeah, it's been fun. Maybe I'll do more of these in the future, just for fun, if I find new training methods or just training methods in general I like and want to showcase. So that is it, and remember, I'm Marquisador, not Mark Isidore.